Life is full of ups and downs. We experience seasons of joy and seasons of challenge. It's easy to trust God when things are going well. But what about when we face difficulties? What happens when we encounter storms in our lives? It's easy to feel overwhelmed, lost, and even angry with God. We might ask, why me, God? I remember a time when I faced a major challenge. It seemed like everything that could go wrong did go wrong. I felt lost and afraid. But in the midst of my pain, I remembered God's promise. I will never leave you nor forsake you. These words became my lifeline. I clung to my faith, knowing that God was with me, even in the storm. It wasn't easy. There were days filled with doubt and fear, but I chose to trust in God's plan, even when I couldn't see the way forward. When we face tough times, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by doubt and fear. These emotions can cloud our judgment and make it hard to see God's hand at work in our lives. We might question God's love for us. We might even feel tempted to give up. The Bible tells us about a man named Job who faced unimaginable suffering. He lost his family, his wealth, and his health. Job went through a season of intense questioning and pain, but even in his darkest hour, Job never cursed God. He held on to his faith. Job's story reminds us that it's okay to question and cry out to God in our pain. He understands our struggles. He's not intimidated by our doubts or fears. In fact, he welcomes our honesty. He wants us to come to him with everything that's on our hearts. Throughout the Bible, we see countless examples of people who faced adversity with unwavering faith. David, a young shepherd, confronted a giant named Goliath, trusting in God's strength. Joseph, sold into slavery by his brothers, remained faithful to God's plan and rose to a position of power. The Apostle Paul, imprisoned for his beliefs, continued to preach the gospel with boldness and courage. A blind man, begging for alms, cried out to Jesus for healing, believing in his power to perform miracles. These stories remind us that God's power is often revealed in our weakness. When we surrender our fears and doubts to him, he can do amazing things in and through us. He can turn our pain into purpose. He can use our struggles to draw us closer to him. God is always with us, even when we don't feel his presence. He promises to never leave us nor forsake us. His love for us is unconditional and everlasting. When we trust in him, we can experience true peace and guidance, even in the midst of life's storms. Trusting in God doesn't mean that our problems will magically disappear. It means that we face our challenges with a different perspective. We can find strength in knowing that we are not alone. God has a plan for each one of us. His plan is for our good and his glory. Let's encourage one another to keep the faith. Let's be there for each other, offering support, prayer, and encouragement. The journey of faith is always richer when we walk it together. When we trust in God, we open ourselves up to a life of deeper intimacy with him. We discover our true purpose. We find hope, even in the darkest of times.